Hello again, Jose Rodriguez here. You all that are refilling your CLI 42 cartridges for the Pro 100, or if you have converted the CLI 42s, but you have swapped the chips from CLI 65s, if you're a Pro 200 owner and you want to continue refilling, of course, you have to disable the chips. It's a different operation altogether. You will have to then refill your cartridges periodically. That's not a problem. The problem comes when you are flushing your cartridges, your original ones, before you begin using third party inks. And you let them dry, and then you load them with ink, and you may end up with a few little white areas that just basically did not allow ink to infiltrate. And you are all worried about whether I can use those to print with. So, here are some recommendations. This is an untreated cartridge. It's got a plug in it already, but I haven't really flushed it. Okay, I just put the plug in it and did not flush it. And you could see the upper portion of that sponge is very easy to see. It's lighter than the bottom portion. These are made up of two different density pieces of it's like a synthetic fiber material. And that allows ink to infiltrate and provide the sufficient amount of ink for the printing jobs you're going to be performing. This is a filled cartridge. And if you look, if I turn it this way, there are some little areas here. This is the dividing wall from the liquid side to the sponge side. But again, you can see little areas like up here somewhere that appear like they may need some ink. Actually, don't worry about that. It's the bottom layer you need to worry about. That one has to be saturated. That's where the ink is actually delivered to the actual port. Okay, so after you refill them, and the process would be to add ink. Of course, you're going to be installing one of these clips. You add ink and you will see it infiltrate. I have videos showing exactly how to proceed with that operation. The levels will drop. You add more. I could add more ink here. I need to. Anyway, you will see the levels drop as the ink begins to fill your sponge, which at that point was pure white. Top it off again. Make sure you do not reach the point where you're touching that plug. That's a safety situation. And so you will then see the levels drop slowly again. At some point, as you keep adding drop or two of ink, eventually it'll just balance itself out. This will not drop any further and the sponge will become saturated. Well, you may end up with a couple of little white pockets here and there. Not to worry. You remove the clip, you hold it over a paper cup, something you don't mind getting dirty, and you watch to see if any ink is going to dribble out. With the plug installed, no ink should dribble out. Now remove the plug and the ink will drip about 1 drop a second. That means your ink delivery is working properly. Even if you have a little white patch here and there, it doesn't really matter. Put the clip back on it, top it off, put the plug back on it, install it on your printer and proceed to print. Okay, you do not have to worry about that. The next time you refill, you will very likely fill that pocket. It seems that it depends on the how packed the fibers may be. And of course, we did something we're not supposed to be doing. We modified that cartridge. So be aware of that. That this refilling process is not 100% guaranteed to work. Okay? Once you do this, you take it upon yourself to accept the consequences. If you do it correctly, you will be able to print perfectly well. I have been refilling these cartridges, I don't know how many times, and so far they have not given up on me. Okay? So again, you see a little patch here and there, don't worry about it. Just do the dribble test. If it drips one time every second or so, you're good to go. I would prefer if it would dribble a little bit more than 1 drop per second. That means it's really flowing really well. Again, once you achieve that, don't waste the ink. Just quickly put the plug on it, put the cap on it, and then remove the plug, top it back up, put the plug back on it, and store it or install it. At that point, you're ready to print with this. And after a couple of refill cycles, it'll be all black like this is. Okay? There are no big air pockets in there at all. I have a totally perfectly operating cartridge that will make sure I have sufficient ink delivery to allow even the densest portions of an image to be printed without the printhead starving because the cartridge cannot deliver ink at a sufficient pace. In other words, that's what you're trying to achieve. And remember, you modify the cartridge, that's no guarantee that it's going to work. 99.9% of the time it will work, but you got to accept that responsibility that you're doing something that is not traditionally recommended. Of course, I don't want you to do this anyway, but if you do it correctly, you will be good to go. So thanks again. Don't forget to subscribe, share, and like. And as always, happy printing, everybody. Bye bye.